Hello and welcome to you all to the 37th AAI Gala. One of the things that I think the pandemic has placed beyond doubt is that none of us can go it alone, that we all need each other to do our part and come together. It's true with our climate, it's true with the pandemic, it's true for our mutual well-being, and it's also true for this democracy project that many of us have been committed to for many years.
It has been an enriching experience working with all the staff of the Africa CDC and African Union member states and other partners, including working with the World Health Organization in our battle against COVID-19, and one that will always warm my heart to be part of a noble cause as a demonstration of Africa taking its own health security destiny in its hands.
That got on the flight leaving Lagos, Nigeria, on August 4th, 1961. On the journey to the United States to attend these universities, in my case, the University of California at Los Angeles.
The organization was very thorough in making sure that our entry into American society is as smooth as possible.
Through the liberal arts college education, I was soon to discover that my interest in studying engineering was not incompatible with newly discovered interests while I was in college.
By giving me the opportunity to earn my university degree in the United States, ASPAL has had such an impact in my life.
As you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated inequities that have very long histories. From the Black Lives Matter movement to the livelihoods disrupted among the world's most vulnerable people, COVID-19 is calling out all of us to do more to redress deep-rooted, institutionalized injustices that have a direct impact on health. Together, we must make this pandemic and the focus it brought on equity a turning point towards preparing better for the next crisis. We are eager to engage with you as partners, striving for better health for people in Africa and globally.
This award has come as a huge surprise. Maybe 50 years ago, I was a recipient of the AAI award, that's AFGRAD award, to study in the US. That was an intervention, I would call it, in my life, because I had entered the university and I thought I was going to make that career, my career. That is, now I've come to the end of the road and I'm going to make a career. But that opportunity, that kind of thing wasn't there. And therefore, I consider AFGRAD scholarship to study abroad as an intervention. Maybe you can call it divine intervention. I'm convinced that AAI, through AFGRAD, came at just at the nick of time, came in to put me on the path. So whatever you climb to, it depends upon what you have. And AFGRAD, I cannot be grateful enough, really. I cannot be grateful enough. I think it's a miracle.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to stand before this prestigious global audience on behalf of the people of the Republic of Malawi, who are being honored here by the Africa-America Institute for their collaboration and resilience in the cause of advancing democracy. When I presented to the Malawi Electoral Commission my nomination papers as a presidential candidate on the 5th day of February in the year of 2019, I had no way of knowing what the treacherous journey I was embarking on. At that time, I had been a legislator and leader of opposition for 5 years, and the law required me to relinquish both roles before presenting myself to voters as a presidential candidate. As such, even though I was to run for president against a sitting president, a sitting vice president, and a sitting cabinet minister, the law required that I do so as a private citizen with no access to state funding. And so the only reason I am president today is because the Malawian people themselves funded the campaign in their determined quest to make democracy real. As the campaign progressed, I and my campaign were exposed to numerous security risks all over the country. As cases in point, I escaped a rain of stones hailed at me in the north of Malawi while attending a cultural event, then escaped a mob armed with panga knives and clubs in the south of Malawi, and then escaped an onslaught of police tear gas in central Malawi while attending a diplomatic meeting. The only reason I'm alive and president today is because Malawians themselves protected me and gave me safe passage in their determined quest to make democracy real. Our campaign traveled the length and breadth of the country for 2 months, and our supporters braved the cold draft of May to stand in line and cast their vote. But in the middle of the night, we received reports from our monitors all over the country that the ballot papers were being doctored by election officials. And I myself held a press conference the next day to blow the whistle on the fraud, for which I was roundly mocked and ridiculed as a sore loser. And so the only reason I'm president today is because the Malawian people themselves reported the electoral fraud in their determined quest to make democracy real. While the declared winner of the fraudulent election was being sworn in, I was at a press conference announcing my decision to challenge the conduct and the result of that election, a move that made me a pariah in many diplomatic circles, including the denouncement of my character in a speech before the entire United Nations General Assembly. But the Malawian people, whose democratic rights had been violated more than my own, urged me to press on and fight for justice through the courts, which they supported through peaceful demonstrations across the country. The only reason I'm president today is because the Malawian people themselves followed every minute of the court proceedings via radio to ensure that no evidence, no witness, and no judge would be corrupted. When the court case was ruled in our favor, and the 5 judges of the court ordered that a fresh election be held within 150 days, we despaired about finding enough resources to travel nationwide canvassing for votes. But we were able to run the best campaign in recent years through a coalition of 9 parties because the Malawian people themselves brought us together in their determined quest to make democracy real. You see, what the Malawian people have done since the spring of 2019, they did not do that for me. nor did they merely do it for themselves and their country. They did it for democracy, which means they did it for the liberty of all humanity, born and unborn. By standing up for their democracy, the Malawian people stood up for all democracies. It is therefore no accident that The Economist named Malawi the country of the year 2020. Nor is it an accident that Freedom House identified Malawi as the only country in the world whose democracy grew stronger in the midst of the pandemic. As such, it is fitting that this institute is pleased to honor the fine people of Malawi with this year's award, and it is my humble duty to accept it on their behalf.